Okay. So we're gathered here today outside of the Environmental Protection Agency, where an historic crime against the United States of America and against the entire planet has been perpetrated by the Environmental Protection Agency, by all of these Doge, Trump acolytes who are seeking to undermine the protection for the health, the safety, the protections for our air, for our water, for our lands. And this crime is being committed right here. It's a crime against nature. It's a crime against the families of our country. It's a crime against the planet, the very planet that we all live on, God's creation. That is what is happening today. The Environmental Protection Agency, led by Zeldin, is going to announce today that the Trump administration is repealing the EPA's finding that climate change endangers the lives, the health, the safety of American families and our planet. That's like a doctor repealing the finding that smoking causes cancer, or a firefighter repealing the finding that a lit match can cause a fire. Listen up, Zeldin. The science is against you. The law is against you. You can try to censor our information. You can try to silence our scientists. You can try to fire hundreds of biologists and chemists and physicists. But you cannot change the science. You cannot change the reality of the harm which is being done by greenhouse gases as they are sent up into the atmosphere. The endangerment finding is backed by the science. It's backed by the law. It has withstood every attempt to challenge it so far, and it will continue to withstand any challenge which is being made. So the endangerment finding should I start again? Okay. The endangerment finding gives EPA the power to keep us safe, regulating greenhouse gases as air pollution under the Clean Air Act. And if we don't control greenhouse gases, it's going to endanger everyone and everything in our country. And that comes from the authority of the most important environmental decision in the history of the United States. And that is Massachusetts versus the Environmental Protection Agency in a decision rendered in April of 2007. And that decision was driven by the devastation climate change wreaked on its citizens. Massachusetts sued the EPA for not regulating the gases that contribute to climate change. And Massachusetts won in the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court agreed that the EPA was obligated to safeguard people from the actual and imminent threat that greenhouse gases pose to people everywhere, known as the endangerment finding. And it's now nearly 2 decades later, and that danger has only gotten worse, more acute, and more personal for people all across our nation. I have breathed the dirty air from wildfire smoke. I've seen horrible floods steal the livelihoods from families in Massachusetts and all across our country. The warming waters wreak danger for the fishing industry off of our coastline. And I've grieved for those who've lost their lives, the lives of their families, and forced those families to leave their homes because of the rising tides caused by global warming, caused by climate change. Look at those families and tell me that this is not dangerous. Look at the young people who worry about their future and see every year hotter than the last. And thank you, young people, for being out here. You are the leaders. You are the ones who are standing up. Young people are forcing this generation to deal with the reality of climate change. Young people are the leaders. Young people are looking ahead. They're leading the way. Young people are saying that we must do something. And this EPA, led by Zeldin, is absolutely going to destroy lives, going to destroy property, going to destroy the future for families all across our country because of the decision that they are making today. Look at the young people. Look at what they are doing. And listen to them, Zeldin. Do not listen to the oil industry, to the gas industry, to the coal industry. They are endangering the lives of these families. Look at the families paying skyrocketing electric and home insurance bills, wondering how they're going to keep their kids safe and keep food on the table. Tell me their welfare isn't hurt by the climate crisis. This endangerment finding keeps us safe, and you can't fix what you won't face. And this EPA, led by Zeldin, they're just reflecting the hundreds of millions of dollars that Donald Trump received from the oil, gas, and coal industry. There's an old saying, you can't understand something when you're paid not to understand it. That's the corruption that's at the heart of all of this. It's those hundreds of millions of dollars that have led to a silence from the EPA, a reversal of the actions which are necessary in order to protect the American people. This endangerment finding, it keeps us safe. Now we're going to need a new kind of endangerment finding, an endangerment finding that points its finger at Zeldin and Donald Trump because they are the clear and present danger to our planet, to our present and to our future. Climate denial costs lives. This is going to kill people. Climate change and all of the controls which are going to be removed by the Trump administration, it's going to lead to more cancers, more asthmas, more disease, more deaths in our country. The flooding is going to lead to more deaths. The fires are going to lead to more deaths. All of this is going to be on the shoulders, the responsibility of the Trump EPA. This is Trump's America, where EPA stands for every polluter's ally. And they get in whenever they want. And we, the American people, we are excluded. So Trump and Zeldin and his whole cabal of polluters, they should be ashamed. But instead, they're bragging about it. They're bragging about what they're going to do to endanger our planet. So I'm standing outside the EPA to say, if this is how the Trump administration is going to operate, this is Massachusetts versus EPA all over again. We're ready to fight. We're knocked down. We're knocked down. We're not knocked out. The climate movement is going to stand up. This climate movement is built on the shoulders of the patriots in 1775, the abolitionist movement, the suffragette movement, the same-sex marriage movement, the civil rights movement. They were knocked down. They're not knocked out. They're going to get up, and we're going to fight. That's what this is all about. Massachusetts is in this fight. Massachusetts versus EPA. They may try to strike it down. We're going to politically strike back. And all of those Republicans that support that are going to pay the price because we know what's at stake. We know how to fight, and we are not going to back down. Next up, the great Environmental Defense Fund has sent us Joanna Slaney, who's been on the front lines for her entire career. Welcome, Joanna.
Hi, everyone. The Trump administration's proposed repeal of this scientific finding is an attempt to leave EPA powerless to limit the pollution that contributes to worsening droughts, flooding, wildfires, and other unnatural disasters. The endangerment finding underpins critical safeguards that protect us from harmful pollution. Following on its obligation to regulate pollutants that harm people's health, over the years, EPA has taken sensible steps to reduce climate pollution from power plants, cars and trucks, and oil and gas operations. It is vital that these common sense measures remain in place. EDF looked at 9 major clean air protections currently threatened by Administrator Zeldin's plans. We found that by 2055, the planned actions alone would lead to 184,000 more premature deaths in America, result in 280,000 more hospital and ER visits across the country, add 18 billion metric tons more climate pollution to our air, along with tens of millions of tons of other dangerous pollutants like particulates and sulfur dioxide. Cost the U.S. up to 4.3 trillion in net harms, including higher energy and healthcare costs. The bottom line, when you remove limits on pollution, you get more of it. And that will make life more expensive and even more dangerous. And an administration that's giving away free passes to pollute, to put more cancer-causing chemicals into our air, might not be the most obvious choice to decide whether climate pollution is harming people. The stakes could not be higher for Americans who know these harms are real. They see deadly wildfires in Los Angeles, destructive tornadoes in Kentucky, catastrophic flooding in North Carolina, and extreme heat in Indiana. They are watching these climate disasters get worse. The danger to their lives and health intensify, and their electricity and insurance bills go up. Public comments will be open soon. We need every American to speak up and defend the science that protects us. And I'm going to turn it over to Manny.
Hello, thank you. My name is Manuel Salgado. I am a climate scientist and an environmental justice advocate. I serve as federal research manager for We Act for Environmental Justice. Before all of that, I am a native Texan and I am from San Antonio. Unfortunately, my hometown and the surrounding communities know quite viscerally what the danger of climate change is. Less than a month ago, on July the 4th, the area was struck by catastrophic floods. This flooding resulted in an egregious and frankly quite preventable loss of life. Over 135 people, including 27 children and young people, passed away at Camp Mystic. This is all due to supercharged floods from greenhouse gases. The floods in central Texas are devastating in their own right, but they're even more tragic when you realize that they're a preventable disaster that the scientific community has been warning about for decades. They're also not an isolated or unique event. In the past month, we have seen deadly floods all across the nation. In Ruidoso, New Mexico, a community this past month lost several lives to a flood within a burn scar, an area that was impacted in previous years by forest fires, also caused by climate change. In New York, subway stations flooded last week due to heavy rain because our infrastructure is incapable of handling the climate catastrophe that we are facing. And just up the road in Silver Spring, motorists were trapped in flash flooding on a regular summer storm that is no longer, just some light rain, but is quite catastrophic and destructive. It's not just flooding. Today, across huge swaths of the Mississippi Valley, right this moment, there's huge pieces of area that are under extreme heat warnings where people's lives are in danger due to hot temperatures. The northern rim of the Grand Canyon is currently uncontrollably burning due to a forest fire that's once again the result of an atmosphere that has been supercharged by CO2 emissions. These are not dangers that we're looking at for the future. These are dangers that we are facing right now. These are dangers that are taking people's lives right now. We cannot wait to act. The science could not be any more clear. We need serious action to stop greenhouse gases now, or we will continue to pay this price, and we will pay that price in human lives. I cannot imagine how awful it feels to lose a child in a climate disaster. But what I do know is that if Lee Zeldin, Donald Trump, and the billionaire polluters that they serve get their way, millions of Americans will know that feeling quite well. We can't afford that future. We're going to continue to fight to make sure that the EPA does protect us from the dangers of climate change. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Manny. Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Burkowitzar, and I'm a project manager for Moms Clean Air Force's national events and for our Equimalides program for Latino community engagement. For those of you who are new to Moms, we're a community of 1.6 million parents and caregivers united to protect our children's health from the impacts of climate change and air pollution. In response to Administrator Lee Zeldin's dangerous proposal to revoke the endangerment finding, Moms Clean Air Force Director and co-founder Dominique Browning released the following statement. If your house catches fire, you call the fire department. Our planet is burning. EPA's response, do nothing. This is a shameful, reckless, and immoral move. Also, wealthy, well-connected insiders can benefit. With President Trump's encouragement, Lee Zeldin's pollution spree is making it far easier for Americans to get sick, while the Trump administration is making it far harder and more expensive to get healthy. Families across the U.S. and across the world are already feeling the dangers of a hotter planet every single day as heat waves become more intense and deadly, as floodwaters rise more rapidly, and harrowing wildfires burn across every season. We know that greenhouse gases from U.S. gas-fueled vehicles, fossil fuel power plants, and other sources are contributing to the global warming that is putting our weather on steroids and threatening the stability of life as we know it. Zeldin is trying to roll back 15 years of progress towards cleaning up climate pollution, progress that Americans across the political spectrum strongly support. The solutions are pragmatic and have created new jobs and new industries while our economy has grown. Moms Clean Air Force will oppose this rollback at every step of the way. Loving our children requires fighting for their world. It's important to also note that clean car and clean truck standards have resulted in passenger vehicles that emit far less climate pollution than they used to. And EPA's proposed rule is expected to gut these protections as well as the transportation sector, which is one of the most polluting industries in our country. According to EPA data, the transportation sector accounts for the largest segment, 28% of total climate pollution in the U.S., with vehicle tailpipe emissions accounting for 80% of the transportation sector's greenhouse gas emissions. In response, our Director of Federal Policy, Melody Reese, stated, last year, the Biden administration finalized common sense safeguards that would have resulted in less dangerous planet-heating tailpipe pollution while also reducing children's exposure to harmful soot and smog. Zeldin's attempt to undo these protections flies in the face of what we know to be true, that the transportation sector contributes enormously to global warming. Greenhouse gas emissions from vehicle tailpipe account for the vast majority of the transportation sector's climate impact. These emissions are driving climate chaos and endangering our children's health, both today and for the generations in the future. We cannot afford to put the brakes on climate and clean air progress now. As a young person and aspiring parent myself, I thank you all for being here today. We must continue to stand together and fight for our future. Thank you. All right. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you to Senator Markey and his office and Climate Action Campaign for allowing me to be here. I'm Chitrakumar from the Union of Concerned Scientists. We're an organization that's more than 50 years old with over 500,000 supporters and tens of thousands of scientists who say this has got to stop. These actions by Lee Zeldin are anti-science and backed by fossil fuel industry, as we've heard several times today. It is true that climate change continues to get worse. It continues, and the burning of fossil fuels continue to rise. Global average temperatures, too, continue their relentless climb, with 2024 once again the hottest year on record, and we're seeing it again this summer, including today, where we are all sweating on this incredibly hot day while we stand out here to say no to Lee Zeldin's move to gut EPA and the extreme climate-related disasters, including heat waves, storms, droughts, wildfires, flooding. They're worsening. they are taking a fearsome toll on people, and especially low income and people of color who are vulnerable in this time. It's taking a fearsome toll on the economy. It's taking a fearsome toll on ecosystems. It's accelerating sea level rise, ocean acidification, and the loss of major ice sheets. They also continue apace and profound consequences for the planet. If Lee Zeldin is looking for more evidence, he needn't look further than national climate assessments. And here we are, where he's undercutting all of it, and he's taking it apart along with the support of the administration and many other fossil fuel billionaire interests. So with this in mind, I would say all of our supporters, the Union of Concerned Scientists, are going to be mobilized to help speak out against anti-science activities and help to make the endangerment finding and other initiatives something that everyone talks about and says, no, this is not what we want, because polling shows that this is not something the American public supports. So thank you, and appreciate all the support here today.
Excellent. Thank you. And so Donald Trump wants to fight, we're going to give him a fight. We're going to, every single day for the next year and a half, we're going to inject this issue into the politics of our country, because he has decided to inject the danger of climate change into every single family in our nation. That is the challenge that we have. We're going to be led by young people, and we're going to be led intergenerationally by old people as well. And thank you to Manny and Joanna and Danielle and Chitra for their leadership. This is the fight for our lives. This is the fight to protect the planet. All other issues will be merely a footnote in history compared to what the consequences of unchecked climate change will mean for our country and for the world. And young people know this. So this is our challenge. And we're saying to Lee Zeldin and to the oil and gas and coal industry who have bought this finding from Donald Trump, that you're in for the fight of your life. And after we win in Virginia, in New Jersey governor's races this November, with climate on the ballot, there's going to be political reporting warning of a political tsunami that's going to hit the Republicans in the House and Senate next year for their supine support for Donald Trump and his climate policies. So we're in this, and we're going to win it. And by the way, they're not going to win in the courts anyway, because the finding is based on scientists. And they can fire all the scientists they want out of the EPA, but it doesn't change the science. We're going to win. We're going to win in the courts, and we're going to win at the ballot next year to shut this down. So I thank all of you for being here. Thanks for everything that you're doing. Let's go. Let's have this fight.